So every Friday, we gather right here for an incredible, powerful event, a complete review of fasting. Not just what's happening inside your body, but what's happening around you, what's happening to you, and what's happening through you. But how fasting works from the beginning to the end is what we're talking about. As a system, not just not eating, but as a strategy, as a tool. This is our blueprint review, the complete review of fasting. And here we are in another episode of our fast as we've made it through this week. Y'all, I'm so excited and I'm happy. Whatever platform you're joining us from, we are welcoming you. If you are new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your healthier life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. My goal is to help you to have the success in your health, just like you're having in other areas of your life. You want to show up for those events and those people that are so important to you, your family, your friends, your community, and so that you can enjoy those dreams that you've been pouring into for all of these years. You don't need superhuman strength. What you need is a strategy you can trust, a plan you can follow, and you need the encouragement and the determination to keep showing up every single time. So first, a shout out to our community members who are out there. Whatever platform you're joining us from, thank you for coming through. And whatever city, town, village, country you're from, we welcome you as well. Go ahead and drop in the comments where you are watching from, and also what number hour are you fasting? Where are you right now? If you've ended the fast, for those of you who joined us on Tuesday to Wednesday, congratulations. Those who joined us from Wednesday to Thursday, congratulations. And of course, those of you who are coming in today and you're ending your fast now, whatever number of hours that you did this week, I want you to go ahead and drop that in the chat with where you're joining from. So I'm putting in, right? So I'm in Huntsville, Alabama, right? Huntsville, Alabama. So let me go ahead and I'm going to drop that in right now. Huntsville, Alabama, right? And I'm going to put in what number hour that we are fasting. Let's go ahead. Let's do this one. There we go. What number hour we are fasting. So whatever number of hour you're fasting, go ahead and drop that in. And I got to make a comment about mine here in just a minute. We'll come back and we'll do that. Okay? So go ahead and drop that in the comments, and because we want to make sure that we are giving you props, giving you kudos for all the things that you've been doing this week as you have taken. That's right. You've taken charge of your health, taken charge of your life, and you are doing what you need to do right now to be successful. So let's go ahead. We're going to jump over and we're going to do a review, right? Our check-in. And during this check-in, we'll talk about something here in just a minute. But we've got some good things that we're going to look at. We've got let's take a look. Here is check-in. And whenever I do a check-in, I talk about 3 different things. Now, there are lots of other things we can talk about, but these are the places where people tend to have their most challenge, right? How they're doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. Let's go ahead and let's do that right now. So physically, you know that we've been nursing a cold right now. And you kind of hear it in my voice, a bit stuffy, but I'm doing better. I got good rest. But as a result of that, so last night I took some cold medicine, and you'll see here in just a little bit, and some cough drops, which actually caused my blood sugar to spike up. So we ended up doing, 65 maybe hours. I think is where we ended up, but I just couldn't breathe last night, and I was like, okay, we got to do something different about this. So anyway, but physically I'm doing better as a result of doing the cold medicine and the cough drops. My voice sounds better. You may think it still sounds pretty groggy, but I am sounding better. I'm feeling better. I'm not as stuffy, and that is a great thing, okay? So first of all, that's my physical, what's going on in my body. And then with my mind, the question people ask, are you clear? Are you foggy? Do you feel as though you're in a bubble, although you're fuzzy-headed? And I'm not feeling any of that right now. I'll tell you, 12, 13 hours ago I was. If you saw our show last night, yeah, I just barely got off the show before I started sneezing and everything was running. But yeah, but right now I'm doing much better. And then emotionally, this has to do with your mood. Are you peaceful? Are you restful? Are you grounded? What's going on in your body? And yes, this week I am. Now, starting out this week, I knew that this was coming on, and we tried to stave it off, but it came and it came and it came, and it ended up causing me some distress last night. But overall, I'm feeling much better today than I actually was feeling at the beginning of the week, because it's pretty much kind of run its course. Like I said, I'm still a bit stuffy. And I was successfully able to get through most of my fast for this week. So that's been a good thing. And in terms of emotions, I've been excited because this has been an amazing week for us as we have talked about our the integration blueprint. Because that is, after all, what we're shooting for, right? So how do we integrate all the things that we have been learning? So that's how I'm doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so let's go ahead now. We're going to take a look at some metrics, because the feelings are great, but we want to have some objective data that we can look at. So let's go ahead now. And the first thing we're going to look at is, this is my Freestyle Libre. And you see right now, my Freestyle Libre says that my blood sugar was 76. And we're going to take a look at this graph down here. And let's go ahead and do that right now. And this is the last 12 hours, right? So let's start here. So right there about 2:13, we're like, okay, I got to do something different, okay? And you'll see a little closer when we look at the Dexcom, because that'll give us a 24-hour period. And so right there, well, actually, let's look at the Dexcom first, because it gives us the 24-hour period. So here's my Dexcom, and right now it says my blood sugar is 105, and I want to go to 24 hours. Right, so starting there when we were doing, so 24 hours ago, we were in the 90s, 80s, 70s, 80s, 80s, 70s. And then right there about 12 o'clock, right? About 12:30, we're like, okay, we're doing something different. And so there's the cough medicine, right? And that went up to 223 and then back down. So by 3:30 in the morning, we're back down to 138, and we kind of hung out there, and then we're like, okay, this morning I need some cough drops. And so there's the cough drops that you see right here. Okay, so right about there, cough drops, and then came back down. Now I won't tell you which cough drops those are, because you see that, and I won't tell you which cough medicine this was either. But we didn't have any sugar-free anything in the house. So that's what you see there. Now let's go back. I'm going to run back over to the Libre. So that's what my blood sugar is right now. And then we were in the process of looking at the graph for the Libre. So 155, 160s, and then back down to the low 100s. And then right about there, so this is some cough drops that we took right about there. Okay, because they're like, okay, I'm going to sound better this afternoon. And so anyway, so this is where we are. One of the things I like about this report is I can actually go into reports, and what I'm looking at is time and range. And so we're looking at these numbers right here that will come up. And so that's my 90% in target with 10% low blood sugars, and that tends to happen when I'm fasting. So if you've been following us, looking at my numbers, you'll see that whenever I'm fasting, we'll go down below 70, and so 90% of that. But looking at the 90-day, right, 86%, 13% low, and then 1%, which were very low. And those typically are below 54, the very low ones. And then looking at my average blood sugar, 14-day, you'll see this line right here, 89, and then jumping over to the 90-day. And the reason I'm going to the 90 days is because that's where our A1C comes from, right? So 90-day average. And then down here, you'll see this is our blood sugars broken down into the different times of the day. And I love this because it gives me a good indicator of what's happening at various times of the day. I can make decisions about that. Then back to the Dexcom, and we're looking at our summary report now. So 14 days. Well, let me bring this up this way. So 14 days, average of 113 with a glucose management indicator of 6.0. So if I got in my A1C, that's what I would expect it to be right there or close to that. And then 90 days, average 114 with 6.0 being my glucose management indicator. 98% in target. Right? So those are keeping right with where we would expect that to be. Let's go ahead now and let's take a look at what's going on according to my monitors. And so I've got my Keto Mojo, and I have my my contour. So let's grab get that mouse off of there. Grab a strip. This is for the contour. And then I'll need my container, which gives me, so I have a blue one for ketones. It'll be interesting to see what my ketones are, by the way. And brown for, brown is for the blood sugar, and then I'll need a lancet. So let's grab that out. And go ahead and start putting, and I see some of you out there, go ahead and start putting in the chat. What do you think my ketones are going to be? Okay. What do you think my ketones are going to be? All right, so let's put this in. Open the ketone strip. Get that all ready to go in. And then, here we are. And so let's go ahead and open up our lancet. Find a finger. And ow, 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 ow. Yep, that. A little bit more than I expected. And then let's get that started. So here is the Keto Mojo. This one is the contour. And so right now the Keto Mojo says that my blood sugar is 102. And let's go back to this view. And the contour says 96. And then you'll see right there on the Dexcom says I'm 108. Okay, so let's go ahead and get. We need another drop for our ketones. Get this one off the screen, and let's get those ketones started. So, what do you think my ketones are going to be? So we went up to, according to Dexcom, we actually went up over 200, 206, I believe, is what that was. Now you know that the Libre tends to be lower than the Dexcom. So what's going to be interesting when I get my labs, so 0.3, yeah, so 0.3 is what it was. When I get my labs coming up here in just another, hopefully less than a week, to see what my actual A1C is, and we'll compare what the A1C is to what the Libre has been giving me over the last 90 days, what the Dexcom has been giving me over the last 90 days, what the Keto Mojo has been giving me over the last 90 days. And we'll try to do that for the contour as well, although it'll be a little more difficult for contour. I'll have to find the app that will hopefully download all of this information. But that would be a good exercise for us to do. But anyway, ketones. Ketones that are less than 0.5 considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. And so right now, you saw that since I actually broke the fast with the cough syrup, cough medicine, and the cough drops, that my ketones are actually lower, right? So that's interesting. And a point to be made there is that it doesn't take a lot to get your body to stop making ketones. That's an interesting point, right? Because people say, well, I only did such and such. Well, that only is enough to cause a spike in blood sugar. When the blood sugar spikes, insulin has to come out. And remember, insulin is the culprit. Once the insulin is there, then the insulin will stop the process of beta oxidation or fatty acid oxidation. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and let's say hello to our community members. I see you guys out there. So let me do that and get over there really quickly so we can say hello to our folks. Let's get rid of this one. Let's see. there's something on here I'm trying to get rid of. No, that's not it. But yeah, so whatever platform you're joining us from, thank you for coming through, and just drop that in the comments. I see you guys already starting to do that and putting it in the chat. So I see Pam is here. What's up, Pamela? Pam is saying hi, hello. Thank you for coming through. And then I see Kenty from New Zealand fasting for 2 hours. Congratulations, man. Good for you. And then I see Cornelia out there. She says, hello, everyone. I'm in Ohio. We're so glad you're feeling better, Dr. Wood. I am as well. So I'm feeling better, sounding better. Not all the way there. And it was funny. I have to do a couple of videos that I'm doing today that I have to send out this afternoon. And so I was like, okay, what am I going to sound like on those videos? But yeah, I'm glad I'm feeling better as well. And then Kenty was guessing ketones of 1.8, and as you saw, the ketones were 1.3. 1.3. And so once again, it doesn't take much to stop that beta oxidation. So it's an important thing, and that's why we talk about what happens prior to fasting, because that has a profound impact on what goes on in fasting, and anything that we do in fasting can affect that as well. Now, that's not to say, and I guess let me make this point carefully, that's not to say that you should throw your hands up and say, well, okay, there's nothing that's going to work. No, that's not the idea. The idea is that we want to be cautious as we are fasting, as we're getting into fast. That's what that's meant to do, is to give us some insight into what happens in our body as a result of the different things that we do. So let's go ahead now, and we're going to jump over into our conversation about fasting as we do that review. And actually, let's see, did I do that right? Hopefully this will work. So let's do it. Oh, let's do our move campaign. So I've not done that yet. So let's do the move campaign. Because we want to remind you that a big part of our health action plan has to do with moving. So let's watch that right now. Welcome to Move, metabolic optimization via exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body, moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is Move. Let's get started. All right, so we are talking about fasting. Doing some voice things there. So what's going on in your body? What's happening in your body? How do we prepare for the fast? How do we get through the fast? How do we get out of the fast? How do we break the fast is what we're talking about as we move into this space. And so remember that what we're talking about, this is not about our 36-hour transition. We've covered that already. This is not about our 56-hour adaptation. We've covered that already. Today is essentially a master class on how to fast well, how to fast on purpose, and how to accomplish what we want to do every single time that you get into a fast. And some important points there. And I want you to hear the phrases I'm using. How to fast well, how to fast on purpose, and how to be able to do that every single time. This is like building a house. Every fast has 3 phases: the setup, the steady phase, and then the break phase. And if you understand these, then you can fast and you will be able to get through that process successfully, whether your goal is weight loss, blood sugar management and control, reducing inflammation, mental clarity, discipline and routine, metabolic health, you name it, it's there. So today, we're going to walk through the entire fasting arc from the beginning to the end. And an important point to be made there is one of the things that you see me doing all the time is a check-in, right? A body check-in. And I want you to keep this in mind for every single phase that we do. How am I doing in my body? How am I doing in my mind? How am I doing in my mood? And those are the same words or same things that we talk about when we do our check-in in the beginning. We talk about how am I doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. Okay. And I want you to take this as a tool that you take through the fasting process with you. Always checking in with yourself and listening to your body so that you are aware when there's something that you need to adjust, something that is working properly, and of course, making sure that you're seeing the benefits that you're expecting from the fasting process. Okay, so we're not going to spend a lot of time walking through this. We'll come back and do another video where we actually spend the entire system or the entire show, an entire episode, just walking through those, because those are important ones. Okay, all right. So we've already looked at this week's numbers, but those numbers are important. So what's going on in your body? So it's not just, okay, the objective things that I'm looking at in terms of the monitors, not just the subjective things that are going on in terms of how I'm feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally, but also what's going on with my monitors. Okay? And so 72 hours is where we are. So the blueprint system, right? How to fast well on purpose and how we do that every single time. And phase 1 is the setup. Fasting preparation. It determines fasting success. And I'm pausing there because I want you to hear that. The fasting preparation determines the fasting success. Most fasting struggles don't happen during the fast. They happen in the setup phase, which is long before the hunger ever shows up in the fast itself. And so when we are talking about fasting, we've got to be thinking about fasting actually before we get to the fast itself if we're going to be successful. So here's how we prepare to fast correctly so you don't crash on day 1. For the fast, we want to prepare the last meal. You thought we're talking about fasting, so we're going to be talking about just not eating. No. Fasting starts with eating. And the eating is, what is the last meal that you're going to eat before you get into the process? Because how you set yourself up coming into the fast affects what goes on in the fast itself. So people think that the fast starts at hour 0. So I'm getting ready to fast, and so this is hour 0, so this is where it is. But it actually starts with that final meal. In fact, if I were to be even more particular, it actually starts before you even get to the final meal. But that's a whole nother story. A good last meal is supported by the different types of foods and components of that meal. So a good last meal has protein. It has healthy fats, non-starchy vegetables, limited carbs, no added sugar. Some of those words should be familiar to you. because you've heard us say those before. Right? The protein and the fat, if we do lean protein, healthy fat, those proteins and fats help to slow our GI tract. It helps to blunt our hunger because the protein helps the body produce something called protein YY, and the fat helps the body produce something called cholecystokinin, and both of those will help to keep us satiated, meaning keep us full, feeling full. It will help with the hunger hormones, or hunger hormone, and the satiety hormone, and will help slow down the GI tract. When we do that, so we, in those first hours, feel full, we feel satisfied. So we're not anxious, or when our thoughts get pulled to food, we're like, oh yeah, I don't feel hungry right now, so I'm good. So protein, healthy fats, non-starchy vegetables. When we eat things that are highly starchy, and this goes along with actually the next three things. So non-starchy vegetables, limit the carbs, and no added sugar. All three of those. And if we do that well, then we actually are setting ourselves up for success. A bad last meal makes the first 12 hours miserable. Oh yeah. So if you don't eat well that last meal, then the first hours of the fast, yeah, they don't go too well. All right, so number one, you want to prepare your last meal. Don't wing it. Number two, you want to hydrate before the fast starts. During fasting, we tend not to think about drinking because we're not eating. And so by nature, by virtue of that, I guess I should say, we already start the fast, or we're in the fast and we become dehydrated. So if you start before by hydrating, when you get into the fast, it gives you a little bit of cushion. And as you know here, we don't do dry fast. Now, dry fast says that I'm not drinking anything. But in our fast, we do drink, right? So non-calorie, non-carb, non-sugary containing substances. Dry fasting can be challenging. So yeah, so we're not talking about dry fasting. Hydrated fasting is a little smoother. Not that dry fasting can't be done and it doesn't give benefit. It's not what we do here in this space, okay? Hydrated fasting is a little smoother, and so it gives us a little bit more. It's a little bit more resilient, which is why we do that. So make sure you're getting enough fluids in. Number three is set your structure. Don't rely on motivation. Motivation is going to change. You want to set up a system that helps you get through the fast so that you're not relying on your inner strength. Like, I'm going to fast. I'm going to get through this fast. I'm strong enough to get through the fast. No. Okay? So you want to get some bedtime routines. Make sure that you're putting in the time so that you are rested. When you are rested, you have more capacity to absorb changes in your body and changes in your thought process as you get through the fast. Your environment, clean up the environment. If you got chips, candies, cookies, cakes, juice all around the place, guess what? They're going to cue you, and you may say, nah, that doesn't bother me. When your brain sees it, when your eye sees it, it goes to the brain, and it has an impact, y'all. I'm going to say that to you. So whatever you see has an impact on you, even though you may not respond to it this time or the next time or the next time, but it has an impact. And those challenges, those struggles that you may be having, maybe because subconsciously the brain saw something. So clean up your environment. Do some pre-fast affirmations. I am doing this for my health. I am doing this because I want to be around for my daughter or my son. I am doing this because I want to be able to go on that trip. I had someone tell me just recently that they went on a trip and they almost had to drop out of the trip because there was so much walking. We don't want you to have to do that. We want you to go, and we want you to be healthy enough so that you can keep up with all those other people that's on the trip. Plan your stress. All right, so we're talking about setting your structure. Plan your stress. Don't plan to do highly stressful things during the time when you're fasting. Now, obviously, there's some things that you can't avoid. Okay, there's stress on the job. There's a project that comes up while you're fasting. Guess what? It is what it is. But as much as you can, don't plan your fast during a time when you know you're about to get into a stressful situation. And stress doesn't have to be like bad stress. Like, you're getting married. Probably not the time to fast because there's a lot of stuff going on, right? And, for guys, we tend to like, okay, we're just going to show up. Well, no. A lot of stuff happens there. Okay, so plan the stress. And then plan for cravings. What are you going to do when the craving comes? And they are coming. Once again, you're going to see, you're going to hear, you're going to smell at work when my team is getting ready to go to lunch. Yeah, my brain starts to say, "Oh, let's eat." Why? Because I see them get up and they go to the break room and they're warming stuff up and all those smells are coming out. There's going to be a craving. What are you going to do? And then what is your plan for the moment when you want to quit? What's the plan for that? So not just the craving, because the craving is one thing. But when you said, okay, yeah, I've had enough. What's the plan for that? So these are not emotional failures. These are structural issues. So structure prevents sabotage before it starts. So you want to make sure that you're putting things in to help with that. Okay, and then know your hunger waves. Hunger comes in waves of 20 to 30 minutes. Come in those surges. If you can ride the wave, it will pass. Hunger comes in 20 to 30 minute surges. If you ride that wave, it will pass. Hunger is not an emergency. It's a signal. Like even if you are physically hungry, right? Unless you've been in starvation mode, and that's a whole nother conversation. Unless you've been in starvation mode, when you get hungry, it's not an emergency. It's a signal. The body's simply saying, hey, I need energy. And most of the time we actually are not hungry. We're just thinking food, right? That's the whole idea behind psychological and physiologic hunger, biological hunger versus what's in the mind. So expect also the mindset shift. And this usually happens anywhere from 10 to 16 hours where most people talk themselves out of the fast. Like, oh, this is not going quite well, or I feel a little lightheaded. Oh, I got some stuff coming up. So yeah, we're going to stop right here. And this is actually normal. Give me a second here, guys. This is actually normal because it is a change that's going on in your body, and your body sees that. Your body sees that, or you feel that, and if we're not careful, we will pull ourselves off of the fast because there's something that's going on in my mind. So your body is not switching, your body is switching gears. And the brain is negotiating comfort because we're so used to not having any discomfort when there is some discomfort. And be honest, right? So if you're used to eating all the time, if you're used to snacking throughout the day, if you're used to eating 3 meals a day, if you're used to eating, when they tell you 6 small meals a day, when you change from that, you're going to feel different. That's discomfort. But if we ride that out, it will resolve. This is not weakness, once again. This is a transition that's going on. Okay? So number one is the preparation or the setup. And phase two is the steady zone, the steady phase. This is where structure replaces the struggle. So between 24 to 36 hours is where fasting becomes a practice. Not a test of willpower, not a punishment, but a skill. This phase is not the 33-hour or 56-hour biology. This is the strategy of the middle hours, all those middle hours. And so we're going to talk about how to stay steady when your emotions and the environment is shifting. So break it down. Let's do a couple of essentials, some strategies. Number one, going back to what we talked about before, surf the hunger wave. Don't fight it. We don't push through hunger. We observe it. We don't judge it. All I want to do is say to myself, is this real hunger, or is this boredom? Emotions? Is it a habit? Is it some discomfort that I'm feeling, whether physical or mental? Is it a pattern craving? So I'm so used to doing a particular thing. I'm so used to eating that thing at a particular time. I'm so used to what that thing does for me in the afternoon that I am looking to that. Is it a cued response? Team gets up, they go eat, I go eat. One of my most challenging times during my fast is I used to fast on a different day. And so we have Taco Tuesdays. My wife would make tacos. So I come home and she's in there, she's making the tacos and da-da-da. And my son, oh, it's so good. And I'm like, can I, a cued response. Because we're used to that. So most hunger is pattern driven or emotionally driven. Most of us psychological hunger. Let me make that distinction. It's not physiologic. So number one, surf the hunger wave. Don't fight it. Just observe it. And ask yourself, is this really hunger or is this something else going on? Number two, you want to use walking as a fasting stabilizer. Move a muscle, change a thought. A 10 to 20 minute walk can smooth glucose, reduce cortisol, calm hunger, improve clarity, reset your energy. Movement is not a punishment, y'all. It is regulation. And remember, the fasting and walking, for example, those are tier one of our health action plan. So when we get up and we walk, that helps to stabilize the cortisol, stabilize the hunger, stabilize our thoughts, distract us. Number three has to do with hydration. So electrolytes may be needed. So sodium, some potassium, some magnesium. These are your fasting safety nets. Cravings often aren't food cravings, they're mineral cravings. So make sure that as you're hydrating, that you are paying attention to making sure that you've got substances that may have some, and not just water. I mean, water's good, but you may need something else, right? So you may need a electrolyte packet in your water. So try that and see if it helps. Number four, avoid two mistakes that people do that break the fast. Number one, they overthink the fast. Now, there's one thing in being prepared for the fast, but it's another to prognosticate that, oh, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be, right? So you're talking yourself out of the fast because you're pre-anticipating some things that may not even happen. One of the biggest ones that I hear people say is, I can't fast. So they come into the fast, well, they didn't think they could, And they come into the fast and, well, I can't fast. So anything that happens, well, I couldn't fast anyway. So, or I'm going to get a headache, or, my blood sugar is going to drop, or I'm going to be too hungry, or, sorry, right? So they're walking through that process. So basically talking yourself out of it so that when something happens, it's like, see, I told you. And boom. So overthinking it. Another one is waiting until the breaking point to intervene. So wait until, oh my God, I can't take it anymore. Okay, let's break the fast. Well, no, if you are feeling lightheaded, let's see what's causing it. If you got a headache, what's causing that? If you are feeling as though you're nauseated, what's causing it? Don't wait until, I'll see how long I can last. Well, we don't want you to see how long you can last. We want you to fix it. If you need to end the fast to fix it, perfectly fine. It is not a test of suffering. Okay? So waiting until you can't take it anymore is not what we want you to do. It's a practice of stability. It is a tool. And so you want to use the tool as best as you can. Right? And then you want to protect your emotional window. Somewhere between 30 to 48 hours, emotions can intensify. And if you've not fasted before and you're in your first stages of fasting, 16, 20, 24 hours, you can have those things that happen earlier. So this doesn't mean that the fast is failing. It simply means that you're becoming more aware. Awareness is a part of restructuring. You want to watch for the wall. So the wall is not physical. It's a mental friction plus cortisol spike. And this is where one of the solutions would be hydration. And just recently I sent something to someone about hydrating. So water, making sure you have good minerals, making sure, and I tell people, seltzer water or sparkling water. I use zero sugar beverages because I love the burn, and the carbonation stretches my stomach so I feel full, right? Making sure that you're rested. So this is all to blunt that wall. Making sure that you're having some light movement. So even when you are fasting, we don't want you to go out and all of a sudden go, hog wild in the gym, start lifting, and if you've not done that before, but we do want you to still have some light walking, have some light activity that you're doing. Because that will help, once again, to stabilize your body and your hormones. And then, of course, deep breathing, right? We talk about box breathing. Breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, breathe out for 4, hold it for 4. Do those 3 or 4 times, right? So what you're doing is you're calming the body, calming the system. And you are doing something structured. When the brain has to do something structured, it gets diverted from emotions. And then reconnecting with your why. Remember, rhythm, alignment, and structure. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I want to be around for my son and to watch him grow up. I'm doing this because we've been grinding for 20, 30, 40 years, and we're now finally retired, and we're going on some trips, and we want to see the world, and I need to be healthy for that. I'm doing this because my daughter or my son just had a baby, and I want to be around to teach that kid how to fish or how to draw or how to play the piano or whatever it is. What's your why? What's the reason for doing this? It's not just because I told you to fast. It's not just because your doctor gave you a number. If that's all, guess what? That's not very sustainable. What's your why? Structure diffuses that wall. And then calm is the new control. You're not chasing energy when we are in fasting. You're steadying it. Your brain is using ketones. The system is predictable. Your emotions are leveling. That's why we talk about the various transitions throughout the fasting process, right? So motivation starts it. There's a transition zone where the motivation goes from being motivation to what the body is designed to do. The metabolism takes over. When the metabolism has done what it needs to do, then it transitions to the adaptation zone, which is where your body and the hormones and all the signals are in alignment, and they are now working to clean the system up. The body's running on an efficient fuel source now. If you get into the practice of doing it, then you have metabolic flexibility, where when you start fasting, the body knows now, okay, this is just what we do. This is not danger. This is not starvation. I don't have to worry. I don't have to slow my metabolism down because this is just what we do on a weekly basis. This is the moment where fasting stops being effort and starts becoming design. Right? That's the steady zone. Steady zone. And then the third zone is the break phase. The break phase. So breaking the fast. And I've got some stuff right here that we're going to look at in just a minute. The breaking phase. And this is the refeeding phase. And so refeeding completes the loop. So we prepared, we're in the fast now, and we're going to now get out of the fast. So the end of the fast, y'all, is just as important as the beginning. Breaking the fast well is what keeps next week's fast successful. So let's walk through the refeeding blueprint. Your first bite, the first bite that you have after you fast, determines what happens for the rest of the time. One bite of something that stimulates the appetite, causes spikes in your insulin, triggers your cortisol, that will cause us to shut down the metabolic work that our body just did. I'm going to just pause there because I want that to sink into you. So it is possible to maintain some level of beta oxidation throughout the fast and post-fast, depending on what we eat. So if we end the fast by eating something that is highly carb, high sugar, then immediately the blood sugar spikes up and then insulin has to come out. And as soon as insulin comes out, the entire system shuts down. Because we're no longer burning fat at that point. We are turning back to making sure that we're regulating the sugar. So the first bite should be gentle. It should be slow. It should be protein forward. It should have healthy fats. So when I say gentle, this is not the time to go, to a buffet and just catch up on what you didn't eat during the fast. Or this is not the time to have that 12-course meal. This is not the time to sit down and say, I'm going to eat all of the, you get the idea. Gentle, slow, because it takes about 20 minutes for the signal to get from your stomach to your brain that you've eaten and that you're full. So if we're just inhaling it, then that causes a problem. And then just like we talked about for preparing for the fast, proteins and proteins and fats will help to delay or slow down the GI tract and send signals to our brain that we are not hungry. So if we eat a meal that has protein in it, it will help us even post-fast to stay satiated. Number 2, let's talk a little bit about refeeding protocols. So write this down. Write this part down. Pause the video. Go back and watch it. All right, make sure that this is a part of your practice. Number 1, so step 1, make sure you have light protein. Number 2, non-starchy vegetables. Number 3, healthy fats. Number 4, make sure you don't have a lot of starchy, well, we said that. So non-starchy, not a lot of starchy vegetables. So if you're adding some carbohydrates in there, it should be complex carbs. And for this initial meal, avoid sugar. Okay? And then, so that's the problem. So protein, non-starchy vegetables, healthy fats, complex carbs, if you're going to put those in there, avoid sugar, and then you want to wait 2 to 4 hours before you have your next larger meal. Now notice, coming out of the fast, you already know that you can go for whatever number of hours without eating. So this is not, okay, I'm not going to eat. But what we're saying is, as you're getting back into eating, do it slowly. Eat that first meal. It should be something that is reintroducing you to eating, enough to blunt, quote unquote, the hunger, but not so much that, it derails us for the next 2 days. Now, I don't like usually giving people lists of foods, like eat these foods, don't eat these foods, but I'm going to give you a list. And so these are things that you want to avoid during the first 12 to 24 hours after you come back into eating. And you'll notice a pattern, right? So number one, bread, pasta, pastries, rice, fruit juice, regular sodas, alcohol, right? Sugar. What have you noticed about all of those? They're all high carb foods. These all have high glycemic index. When you eat those, your blood sugar goes up quickly. And so that's a list, but that's not an exhaustive list. And the list is not designed to just give you things not to eat, because there are some things that are not on that list that you shouldn't eat during the first meal. Right? But it's just to give you an example of the types of things that will cause a problem as you get into the refeeding. So don't say, well, this stuff is not on the list so I can eat it. No, I want you to think about what it is you're about to eat and determine whether it's appropriate for refeeding. Because like ice cream is not on that list, but guess what? I probably shouldn't eat ice cream as the first meal. Although I'm thinking about it, but hey, that's a whole nother story. The next thing is how digestion resets after a long fast. Let's talk about that. So your gut needs gentle onboarding. The first 6 to 12 hours are about rebuilding the digestive fire. So your body has been quiescent, it's been sleeping, it's been relaxing, it's just kind of chill right now. Your body normally makes a coated lining. Well, the lining of your GI tract is coated, and so those goblet cells are not producing the substances that coat during these fasts, and so they're relaxed. And so if all of a sudden you put something in there and they got to rush to begin producing the coat, then you can have nausea, bloating, indigestion, increased elimination. All those things come as a result of not taking our time when we are refeeding. And then we want to avoid the reward trap. You know what that says? The reward trap says, man, I've done such a good job of this fast this week. Hoo-hoo-hoo. I'm proud of myself. Let's go get some rewarding with foods that are satisfying to me and things that I've been avoiding for the last 12 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours, 72 hours, 56, whatever it is. I'm going to get some sugary stuff. I'm going to get some baked goods. I'm going to have that pastry. I'm going to have that ice cream. Man, I've been waiting for that chocolate. That's a metabolic cliff. Because once you go across that cliff, when you get over that cliff, your body takes over. Because the body now has to correct what you did. Remember, our body's job is to maintain homeostasis. So it's not going to let your blood sugar rise. And this is not just for people who are diabetic, by the way. Everybody who eats carbs, everybody who eats sugar, everybody who eats their body produces, or the sugar goes up and it has to produce insulin. Now, as a non-diabetic, you don't know because you're not checking. And your body is good enough, even when you're checking, to regulate the sugar to keep it normal. But the amount of insulin that it had to produce to keep it normal is what causes the problem. So remember, structure is greater than reward. Stay with your structure. It's not that you can't eat those things, but this meal is not the meal for it. And then next, you want to plan your next meal before you break this one. This keeps you from drifting. I talked to people about having their default meal. I was telling someone in the office yesterday. The default meal is that meal that you can create any place, anytime with whatever's around you. The body loves rhythm. Your metabolism loves predictability. Think to yourself, okay, what am I going to eat when I break this fast? That's why I don't, I should say I don't, because I think about it, because I ask you guys, hey, what do you want me to eat, right? But I don't stress about the first meal because my first meal is already pre-constructed in my head. I just need the components to put it together. And it can look like lots of different things. And you'll see today it looks a little different than it normally looks. So let's talk a little bit about the inner design loop. The inner design loop is our functional, behavioral, structural algorithm that helps us to modify and improve. Anchor, align, and adapt. Anchor, align, and adapt. So every time we come, right? Every time you go through a fast, every time you go through, you're doing an evaluation about something, we want to spend some time walking through the loop. What worked this week? What's my anchor? What worked this week? What's the thing that was successful this week? My success this week, and for most of the weeks, is the fact that I structurally do the fast regardless of what's going on. What the fast looks like may be different. When we travel, maybe I'll start the fast sooner. If I have to cook, I'll fast and then I'll cook and then I'll come back or eat because I have to taste it, by the way. And then I'll come back and I'll fast again. Right? So I'll interrupt the fast. So the fasting doesn't change. That's my anchor. And then number 2 is alignment. Where did your rhythm feel steady? What behavior did I do that helped me in the process? Alignment. Are the things I'm doing taking me in the direction that I say I want to go? So I'm going to fast, okay? I'm going to fast, and I'm fasting. I have my reason. I've got my rhythm. This week, making sure that I continue my fasting I'm not processing, should I fast this week? Or maybe I'll fast tomorrow, or this thing is going on at work, or we're going at this place. No, we're going to fast. We shift that around. Is my behavior consistent with that? So one of the things that I have to be cautious of in terms of behavior is when I go to the grocery store. Because when I go to the grocery store, you know what's at the grocery store? A bunch of things that I've taken out of my house. And so when I go and I'm filling my cart, my question is this thing I'm picking up consistent with who I say and what I say I want to do? Who I say I am and what I say I want to do, right? And then adapt. What will you tweak this week as you get into the fast for next week? What do I need to do? What support do I need? What structure do I need to add? Small adjustments create predictable success. So remember, fasting is a system. Fasting is a system. We didn't study just the science. We studied the system. We studied the tool. When you prepare for the fast, when you manage the fast, and you break the fast on purpose, fasting becomes predictable. Predictability becomes safety. Safety becomes consistency, and consistency is the key to long success when it comes to our health and for transformation. If you don't get anything else that I say, I want that to be something that sticks in your mind. That it is not, people don't have difficulty with success because they don't know what to do or because they don't want to do it. That's not the case. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, okay, today I'm just going to do everything I can do to make my health worse. That's not what people say. Every day people get up and they're like, man, I know I need to exercise. I know I need to eat better. I know I need to get good rest. There is a desire to there. It's there. But the consistency is what causes the problem. Structure turns discipline into design, and design turns fasting into metabolic freedom. So we want to make sure that you're doing all the things that you need to do to be successful with your health. And fasting is an amazing way of doing that. So the Limitless Living Method says that we're going to design the life, we're going to build the health, and we're going to live limitless. We're showing up with our best selves, our best health, and our best plans. We're not allowing anything from inside or anything from outside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're showing up and we are going to be successful. That's what the Limitless Living Method says. And that's what you are working on. You don't need superhuman strength. What you need is a strategy you can trust. You need a plan you can follow. And you need the encouragement and the structure to show up every single time. We continue our quest and our work and our journey to be healthy. Join us next time as we continue talking about how we use fasting as an amazing tool to right our metabolism. This is your Fasting Masterclass. Stay by. All right, so now let's turn our attention to something important, and that is what my meal is for this week. Now, if you were with us when we first started, we said, we had some, I've got a cold, and so I had some cough medicine and some cough drops, and of course that broke the fast. But this is my post-fast meal, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So here it is, and it's a salad as is usual, and it looks a little different than it normally does. So I've got some lettuce, I've got, there's some cheese under there, I've got carrots, garbanzo beans, I've got mushrooms, some mushrooms that my wife made, and then surrounding that is jerk chicken that I made, because that's my thing. So this is the meal right here, okay? And let's walk through the components that we've talked about. So protein, right? So there's protein in there. So we've got the chicken, the garbanzo beans has some protein in it. There's cheese under there, so cheese has some protein. We've got healthy fats, the cheese, right? The chicken has some fat on it. So I don't have a lot of don't have a lot of unhealthy fats. There is some fat in the dressing. So this is a combination of three things. Well, actually four things. This is a combination of horseradish salad dressing with some Caesar salad dressing, and that comes from a restaurant, and then some buttermilk salad dressing we got here from the house, and then some salad dressing that one of our community members, Pam, who I think is in the she's in the chat, recommended for a salad that we made several months ago now. And so I have that in my refrigerator now as a part of my armamentarium. And so I just mix those because I like all of those. And I put those all together, and that's what you see here. Okay? No sugar. So there's no added sugar here other than what would be in the salad dressing, if they put that in there. There's no complex carbohydrates, but I didn't add any simple carbs here either. Starchy, non-starchy vegetables, and there are no starchy vegetables in this meal. So that's what we are putting together. And so this meal is designed to help me stay satiated, designed to help me make it through the first hours of the fast. And then we're going to have, and this actually looks like a full meal, doesn't it? But we're going to have our big meal, if you will, later on, which is not going to be that big because this right now is going to fill me up. One thing that I didn't say when we were doing our talk was you want to make sure that you're eating the appropriate portions. Often it's not that people are eating too much. Not that they're eating the wrong thing, but they're actually eating too much of the right thing. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to dive into this. And I'm going to take a bite. Let's see. Let's do this one. There you go. I'll take a bite of this, and I'm expecting it to be tasty, right? One of the reasons I love salads, I love the flavors and I love the textures. So that was some chicken. Some of that jerk chicken and a carrot, piece of carrot. And the crunchiness and the savoriness and the smoked flavor. Mushrooms. Some good stuff. So what are you breaking your fast with? We've had some of our community members send us pictures of what they've been eating. I would love to see that. Because I want to know. Now, one of the episodes that I want to do, well, several episodes that are in my head, by the way. Some we've already scripted out and so forth. But an episode on snacking. An episode on your default meal, how to create your default meal. And you guys hear me say that all the time. I have a default meal in my head. So when I go anywhere, I don't worry about what they have to eat. I construct whatever is in my environment as close to my default meal as possible. Right? So I don't say, well, I'm here, so I guess I have to eat whatever. Well, I eat whatever they have, but I make choices about what they have to fit into my default meal. Whether that's Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthday. Delicious, y'all. Okay, so let's go. Let's say hello to see who else is out there. Let's see. So where were we? So Kinty was guessing 1.8. Pamela says, hi, Dr. Kinty and Cornelia. Kinty says, Cornelia, did you have surgery? Afternoon, Pam from Kinty. Hope it went well. If so, if not, hope is going well. Hi, Kenty. Thank you for kind sentiment. However, it wasn't scheduled for surgery. Yeah, so it was someone else in our community. It was not. I think you were commenting about the. I posted that someone in one of our videos had has commented they were having surgery on what's today? Today is the 5th. Yeah, having surgery on the 8th. Right, so it was not. It was someone else in our community. But thank you for the thought, Kenti. Thank you for, and that's what I love about the community. You know, remembering that something was going on with someone else. That's amazing. And Gian says, "Hi, doctor. Hello, LLG. What's going on, Gian?" And then Gian says, "Hi, Pam. Hi, sis. Hi, Kenti." And then Pam says, "Yes, I am here." And of course, Gian says, "Hi, Pam." I love it, love it, love it. Oh man, you guys don't know how excited I am to be in the space with you. And so, you know, the things that we talk about are three triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, we encourage. We educate with the shows, we empower with the tools that we're learning, and we encourage with this amazing community that you are a part of, right? So you've completed an entire cycle of fasting this week, wherever you were, whether you did a 12 and 12, 16-8, 24-hour, a 36-hour, 48-hour, 72-hour, whatever the fasting was that you did, you completed the cycle. And you have made a choice that you're going to be healthy. You've put another piece of evidence into your evidence bank that you are able to do this and that you are interested in your health. You've built trust in your metabolism. And your metabolism is learning to trust you back. A big part of health has to do with structure. And every time we go through the process, every time we go through the motions of doing it, we trust ourselves, our body becomes better, our metabolism rights, we become more metabolically flexible, and it's just a spiral of improvement. So as we continue on this path, the benefits that we get are so profound. There are physiologic benefits, yes. Love it. Love the fact that my blood sugars are better, that my weight's better. There are, and my cholesterol and blood pressure, all those things. There are emotional benefits because I now am learning how to regulate myself without food. There are relational benefits because I'm calmer. I have more capacity. You see that? You see how all those things are impacting each other? So fasting is not just about not eating. It's a profound and amazing tool in that space. But fasting has the ability to touch so many parts of our health and our lives. We will continue to do our make through our week. So tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central, we'll have video from the vault. On Sunday, we'll have This Week in Review at 6 a.m. on the channel. And on Monday, we'll be back for another episode of Dwain Woode MD Live as we continue our path through the Blueprint series. So just some scheduling issues, not issues, but things that are coming up. Remember, we are now getting ready to get into a holiday time. And so our final episode of our show, our live show, will be on the 22nd of December. That's going to be our final episode for this year. And then starting in the new year, our first episode is going to be on the 5th of January. So between the 22nd and the 5th, there'll still be things here on the channel, but it won't be live. So come on back and, you know, we'll put some things together for you to enjoy during those periods. But we will hit the ground running on the 5th of January as we get into the new year. And the whole point of the Blueprint series was to get us in the space where when January comes, we're not then scrambling to figure out what we're going to do. We've already done that. We've already gone through the process. We thought about it. We've got our routine, and we're just hitting it, and we're just going for it. Because we don't want to waste time in January trying to figure out what to do. We already know that. So come on back as we move through the rest of the season, the rest of this year, and we get into next year. I always am very honored to be a part of your journey, and honored that I get to see the amazing success that the community is having in their health and in so many other aspects of their life. Hey, thank you for coming through. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Woode with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, we empower, and encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. You don't need superhuman strength. What you need is a strategy you can trust, a plan you can follow, and you need the encouragement, the determination, and the support and structure to keep showing up every single time. And remember, the Limitless Living Method says that I'm not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to change me, anything to stop me. I'm showing up with my best self. I'm showing up with my best health, and I'm showing up with my best plans. Until then, stay structured, stay consistent, stay encouraged, and as always, live limitless. Let's take a listen to the MOVE campaign, and then we'll be out of here. Bye-bye, everybody. Welcome to MOVE, Metabolic Optimization via Exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body, moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is MOVE. Let's get started.